Y'all should just approve it. Tell them the board to approve it. You know, my house is over here, and the water retention pond is down here, but that's going to flood my house. When you don't. Yes.
Have you been there? Have you been there?
I've been there.
What's your calculation?
No, but I know those houses on the beach haven't blown over yet. I do not like the access point for my but it is separate. I don't like the mess up right. I don't like either access. I don't like the access on the golf course. It's just a little bit so the one on the south. Where's that? What's that?
There it is.
That was
this.
over there. Yeah, it's worse.
Jiggle the base.
Something about the base.
Oh, wow.
I just turned it all the way down.
79 or something.
I don't know that it's the mic or.
Yeah.
79 Yeah, I definitely make it worse.
Yeah.
Y'all shouldn't have to grab anything. We're gonna have plenty of sound. Okay.
That microphone's on.
I suppose I am.
Which?
Right? Wouldn't you consider yourself a
Which one?
what you should have
Almost all of it.
Rita.
No.
Michael.
Actually, Vivian doesn't, Sam doesn't, Rita doesn't, but Mac does, Renee does.
Oh,
I
working.
do. Jason doesn't, Kristen doesn't.
Don't touch the game.
If I could have everyone's attention, please, we'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the June 7th Walton County Technical Review Committee meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming. First item of business this morning is review and approval of the minutes from the May 3rd meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
You had a motion by Tim, a second by Jason. Any further discussion? Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Do we have any announcements this morning? There being none, let's move right into the project review. The first item this morning is Waterfalls by the Bay, large-scale amendment, being reviewed by Sam.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this is a large-scale map amendment request by J&L Eagle Co. through Jenkins Engineering, requesting to amend the future land use map from a designation of conservation residential 2 to 1 to low-density residential on approximately 27 acres of a 54 plus or minus acre parcel. This is just going to be on the 27 acres of the southern portion that fronts Alderberry Road. And at this time, my recommendation would be to not go forward with the project.
Can you explain what we're asking to do and why?
Oh, sorry.
It is the same exact submittal from last time. So for the Jamie Eubanks with Jenkins Engineering, For those familiar with this project, it dates back 12 years. I believe this is the third time they have applied for this land use change.
Are we trying to change the bay front portion
No, just
previously?
the southern portion. Previously, probably 10 years ago, they looked at previously 10 years ago, LDR didn't exist, so they tried to do a different combination back then. LDR obviously came online, if you will. They went through the process, ultimately did not follow through with it for whatever reason, political, who knows. And now they have requested to go forward with it again. They know the pitfalls, having been denied before. They're more than aware that the BCC may or may not approve it, but they want to move forward. As for a continuance of this, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't see the good in it. I mean, there's no additional technical information to provide. I mean, the concern I think Sam has is that it'll be denied, but they're willing to take that chance.
Well, this is a request for to do 54 units on the potential residential development of 54 units on the southern portion. A good portion of the 27 acres, approximately 13 of that is in wetlands and floodplain. That area has been put into conservation easements. Given, to me, the 54 units per on the 27 acres can already be achieved under the current land use designation. I mean, you get 2 to 1, conservation 2 to 1 is already on there. And I just didn't see the purpose of, having to change the map at all to keep it at where it is, because with the incentives of putting the wetlands and the floodplains into conservation easements, that incentive, which is provided in the code, is already being transferred to them, allowing them to do those 54 units on the high upper portions of this 27 acres, which would give them the 54 units they're seeking. They have provided a developer's agreement saying that they would limit it to 54 units for that portion of the property. Now, it's a proposed development agreement, of course. And the compatibility analysis referred to some similar sized
Is there minimum lot size?
subdivisions,
Is there
but
minimum lot size?
none of those subdivisions changed or
That's why they need
required a
those
future land use map amendment in order to achieve the density they built or developed from.
Can they cluster in conservation residential?
There's no minimum lot
So there's
size.
not a minimum lot size requirement?
To be clear, they're looking for a higher density.
Than the 54.
Then 54 units?
Yes, 27 times 4.
But the developer agreement said that they would limit it to 54. So the developer agreement they provided isn't valid.
I had a question on the wording of the development agreement, so maybe Jamie can explain that, because it kind of put the question in my mind whether they were wanting to do future development on the northern
Yes,
portion.
yes.
This says, Eagle Cove agrees to restrict density of the property to no more than 54 single-family units.
And
Yeah, but
that's
further.
referring just to the 27 acres property in this case is the property they're requesting density transfer on.
So of that space, that's gonna be the
54,
54
and
units,
then-
and then the additional density they're gonna
Right.
put into the northern.
Correct. Because the northern is, I believe, 1 to 2.5.
Well, without,
It didn't make, it didn't
Yeah, I don't
quite make
think-
sense.
I
Well,
don't
the
think you would be
development
able to
would
do
come
that.
in as the whole thing, is, yeah, it
Do you
would
have a proposed site plan that graphically displays?
be the whole.
but there are open space requirements in both of those categories, and the northern portion is
Right.
80%. So how would you be able to?
Well, I'm not saying that they can accomplish it. That they may not build 118 or whatever the total density would be, but it would give them more than what it is now, which is, 54. Essentially 54 plus a little on the north side.
I mean, how would that work?
They may do 70 or 80 or 90. I don't know the exact number.
If the
obviously.
project is mixed between those two parcels with different land use categories, can you float the density?
You can commingle them.
Okay.
If we do a PUD ordinance that would allow that.
Right, I mean, I think there's a lot of things on the development order and PUD side of things that would certainly have to be accomplished in that regard. But that's
Why would
obviously
they have
not
to do
something.
Excuse me?
Why would they have to do PUD?
If they wanted to shift density from one section to the other, differing land uses. You get two land uses within the development site.
Really?
In order to remove those entitlements from one to the other sites, we got to do a PUD
If
ordinance
it
to
comes
allow
in
that.
as one big development with,
That's the only way you can move your
Still need
entitlements
to
around
overlay.
inside a development
Right.
that has multiple land uses.
Not just a PUD. but
Yeah, it's a PUD
I'm
overlay.
not sure how the math
Well,
works on the potential number of units according to that agreement. How you
Yeah, I
get
guess-
that many units.
I guess you'd have-
So all we could do is.
Yeah, if they're limiting
Is this a different language?
the subject parcel to 54 units,
the top part
and then they
is-
want to put the additional density into the northern portion, which has a higher open space requirement, I don't know how they would be able to, that would be able to work.
Well, they'd still have to meet the open space requirements. I mean, I'm not saying they can get 118 or whatever the number is. 108, but.
The compatibility study, the traffic engineering is all based on the requests that they're making though for 54,
54 units,
not for,
not for an
no,
additional.
originally they had asked for 96, and they came back and said, well, we'll just go with the 54. And then the developers agreement, that's what they're limiting it to, that we'll do 54 units on that lower portion. And all they're asking me to look at right now is the lower portion, not anything to do with the northern portion. They want to change the land use on that
Right.
southern portion.
So,
Now,
but
all
is
the
it-
review is done based on the documentation, like the traffic, et cetera, on that request and limit of 54 units, not on anything denser.
To be clear though, we actually submitted the original traffic report for the entire site, along with the original survey, and the county came back and asked us to specifically restrict it to the southern half.
Okay, so the
Well,
traffic study
correct.
is specific to the
Yes,
subject
it's
parcel
land use change,
and
not
the
a
land use
development.
change.
Right, they weren't
Okay.
asking for a land use change on the whole site though, they were
Right.
only asking for
Which
it on
I
the
understand.
southern portion, so yes, and I asked for updated information on
But then
that.
if this goes through at the development stage, you would have a traffic study for the entire site.
Whatever's developed,
Whatever
right.
is, yeah.
Well, of course, the code and land, comprehensive plan, et cetera, would have to be addressed at that time.
I mean, I guess my point, to be perfectly honest, is, I mean, to me, a continuance accomplished nothing. We're gonna be back here once again saying they just wanna move forward anyhow. Now,
I didn't say continuance, I said I didn't want to move it forward now. You said you didn't want the continuance.
I don't.
Okay, so
Well, what do you mean by not moving it forward?
I don't want, I would deny that it goes any further from here. There's no reason to do a map amendment and request the number of units that you already have.
Well, and I think that
That was my,
professional opinion could be enshrined in the staff report recommending a denial.
Right.
But we're gonna have to
Right.
move the application forward in the
And I think
process.
that's obviously a discussion that
okay,
the, developer's lawyer and whoever will have, and, maybe there will be things that go back and forth to appease the staff if necessary. And maybe not, maybe they've been denied twice essentially, they know the risk. But they wanna try it again.
I don't think they were denied twice. It was just
They were denied
one.
once and they withdrew before the BCC after the planning commission.
So at this point, does the application technically comply with the code requirements and the process?
Have they submitted the right documents? Yeah, I think we're
okay.
comfortable that
Right.
the application
That-
process
Yes,
is.
the application itself, so
um,
I guess I can recommend move it forward without staff recommendation. I don't know how you say that. Or just
And
move
believe
it
me, we
forward to
certainly
PCA.
understand staff's.
I mean, the
point.
i's have been dotted and the t's have been crossed as far as submittal of paperwork. They've done that, they've given me everything I've asked for, as far as that goes.
I will say this, if you have some sort of development plan for the entire thing, it
Sure,
would
I mean, we
probably
have
make
something.
sense to,
We have a DO on this side,
Yeah.
it's expired.
but that, you're not doing that same thing.
No, it'll be similar.
But if you have some concept as you go forward,
Oh, yeah.
if you bring that, I think you'll be better off, and everybody will be better off because there will be a better understanding of what you're trying to do, because it might be somewhat frustrating to have the 54, but that not really be what you're doing,
Right.
Well, I know once we get to planning commission, we're gonna need some better graphic representation of what we're proposing, what the end game here is, what we're
Mhm.
trying to accomplish with land use change, so they can understand this
Exactly.
better. They're not gonna get it from just a written
What
report.
about, the developer's agreement, and, since Mark left, who's staff, who's, county attorney now?
Sydney Noyes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's
At least as the
something to-
interim.
To run by her, obviously.
Yeah, we'll need to do that. She hasn't seen this yet?
No.
Okay.
No, it's
No, I just
very
not.
similar to what Mark Davis approved last time, but it's.
If that's the maximum density that you can get there, though, I mean, that's just kind of, I think that's going to aggravate people, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe me, I don't mean to, come across as, whatever the term may be, but I can't stress, the developer certainly knows the risk. I mean, he has been denied once, he would have been denied the second time, so he withdrew.
I'm okay with moving forward. I think you should move forward, but I'm just saying, for the sake of transparency and, being,
Well, my biggest question was, you're asking to increase density to a increase that already exists. So that was one of my
But it
questions. I didn't
doesn't exist for the
understand that.
co-mingling.
But you're talking about doing the overall
Correct.
entire parcel development, and all I'm looking at are those 27 acres. I'm
but
not
if
looking
the
at,
development agreement limits that 27 acres to 54 units.
right, which he can already
But
do
How's he going
as
to
it
move
stands
something
now.
from the north part down to there, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think
No,
the
what he
intent
wants-
here is the developer agreement
Wants
limits
to
the
move
placement
south to north,
of
I think.
the
Right.
density under LDR to 54 units on the southern portion, and some portion of the
Right.
entitlement
Of the
would be
exit.
transferred to the
Right.
northern portion,
Right.
Go from
Right.
the south goes to the north.
Right.
which, and the only way we could accomplish that under the present rules would be to do a PUD or overlay, which would be development order.
But that's the more environmentally
See, that was
sensitive
just
portion
my-
in the north.
It's the more environmentally sensitive portion.
I mean, Yes and no, but
You
the
really
entire
wanna get
site, all
hamstringed
that
like that?
is right conservation easement already, so,
In the north part.
yeah. entire
Over the
site.
entire.
The entire,
Over both
the
parcels.
southern part is too. Of those 27 acres, about 13, or just about half of it is already in conservation easement.
Yeah, and I think there's another 6. that-
They've, I mean, those have already been recorded, they're already there. And they show that they did an updated survey for me. Like I said, they've done what I've asked, but
Well,
I was just limited in what I was looking at, I guess.
Well, and honestly, my concern has to do with the comprehensive plan policy that talks about increasing density in the floodplain, unless you've got adequate uplands to transfer it to. This developer agreement locates those adequate uplands on a separate parcel.
Same parcel.
It's one
Yeah,
parcel.
it's one parcel, they're just splitting
It's two different land uses.
Two different
That's the-
legals under one.
Oh, one parcel is two different.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Right.
two different legals essentially as far as
Well,
the
it's
land
one
use
legal,
goes.
the parcel actually has
Right.
one legal, and the
It's just-
county just needs a
right.
legal for the land use change.
Exactly.
You know, what's
Yeah.
changing.
You know, you're correct, yes.
I do greatly appreciate the input. I mean, believe me, the developer will be briefed.
We're gonna have to figure out how to graphically display what he wants to do.
Okay.
And transfer any additional
Intent.
single-family entitlements property to
To be
real
able to
per, oh,
accomplish
I
what
see.
we're trying to do.
If you wanna move it forward, we're gonna have to, I'm gonna ask for a motion for denial. Or recommendation for denial. If we wanna meet between now and planning commission, to sit down and see if there might be some
Yeah, yeah.
way
I
we
mean,
could come to an agreement.
Yeah, I
We'd
don't believe
Be happy to
that
do
the-
that.
Yeah, I certainly don't believe that the developer will wish to move forward with recommendation of denial at that point. But those discussions between legal, who's not here, and things like that,
We're willing to meet on it. But I don't know that we can,
more than that, but
in good conscience, recommend moving it forward with a recommendation for approval at this point.
Sure.
But we're willing to continue to discuss it.
that's all we ask for.
Do we have a motion?
We're gonna move it forward with the denial, or we get, okay, motion to move it forward with denial, to deny.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Okay, so is that gonna be in the motion itself, or is that something that you're gonna just add to the staff report when it goes to planning commission?
It's in the motion right now on the table.
Shouldn't it be for a recommendation?
Or-
Yeah, a recommendation for denial.
Recommendation to deny, I can't
Unless-
tell them what to do. All I can do is make a recommendation.
Unless other,
We can meet in the middle, you know.
other documentation is provided that may change.
This is based on inconsistency with the comprehensive plan.
Tell you what, let's do. Here's a better idea. We've got one more TRC before planning commission. We can go ahead and schedule it for planning commission, expecting we're probably gonna recommend denial it if we continue to the next TRC.
I would rather not advertise it for planning commission in that case, to be perfectly
No.
honest, Matt. The timeline of the planning commission is,
And is our dates next
you
month.
know,
You're entitled to move forward in the process. Yeah, the 5th and the 13th. TRC is on the 5th. Planning Commission is on July 13th.
I mean,
What would be your preference?
rather not send it out for planning commission.
Okay.
I mean, you know, they're gonna have to meet with Sydney and, you know, go through things such as that. perhaps can satisfy legal with regards to the developer's agreement.
Well, then why don't we just continue it and have a meeting in the meantime?
Okay.
And that way we won't advertise for planning commission with a recommendation for denial at this point.
When is the, let's do that.
Okay? Could we amend the motion to continue to next month?
Motion to continue to the next TRC meeting, which is
July 5th.
July.
Are we still gonna, didn't we move the July meeting or no? We didn't?
We are still on July 5th, aren't we?
Okay,
All right.
to July 5th.
Maybe lightly attended, but.
It will be out. And that's my motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second? To
Second.
continue to next month? We have a motion and a second, any further discussion?
And there's gonna be a
Are there any
meeting
public
between.
comments?
And we will meet in the meantime.
Public comments?
Any public comment on the technical aspects of this application? This is not a public hearing. Any public comment on the process itself? Yes, ma'am. Could you come forward and state your name?
Christy Conway, and I live on Eastwood Road. And I have been dealing with this since the beginning also, and would like to know if their initial plans can be submitted there, because they have been approved for, I believe this lower southern section has, it looks like 43 lots as I read it here. And all of those are already less than a quarter of an acre with all of the wetlands. And is there technical on how much of the native vegetation would have to remain on this kind of, with the present? I was talking with, I think Vivian before, and Sam this time, about the process of how they've been allowed to transfer lots onto the uplands, but how is the preservation of the, so that the runoff does not, there's two, on the aerial you can see that there are two wetland, two estuaries or creeks that come in on the bayfront, and those are drains for Hogtown Bayou all the way from the southern portion that we're dealing with, that those lots are going to back up to, all the way to the bay. And I was wondering how what's the technical for preservation of those, that stormwater runoff and the pollutants? Is that a technical question, or is that
Well,
just
it will be at the development order stage. I mean, at present, we're just talking about changing land use designation. It's
okay.
my understanding that they already have conservation easements in place to protect those areas. Any stormwater that would be created by the development would have to be contained within the site, treated and attenuated before it hits those areas. Jamie, you got any further?
No, you're correct, Christy. What Max said, the estuaries and the other wetlands are in a protected conservation easement that was recorded actually with this original plan years ago. So everything you're seeing that is hatched out here, of course you don't have the north side, but those are in conservation easements now.
The current land use category of the conservation residential 2-to-1 requires a 60% open space. I don't know what LDR doesn't have any, so it essentially would just be what you have in the conservation easements.
And there's no
Most likely.
preservation. No
So on
natural
the lot,
community.
so the conservation, that preservation is created in these wet conservation easements, and the lots don't have to have
There's a
any.
25-foot buffer from wetlands, and there's a 50-foot buffer from creeks and inlets. But they don't have any tree preservation requirements other than what's set aside in the wetlands and those buffers.
Okay. Okay, but if you look at the existing plat of what's been approved, if you take into consideration those buffers on the lots, there's not really, land to, I don't know how you're gonna put up.
Do you know
It's
how
an
much?
expired deal.
Right, yeah, so the approvals aren't no longer valid.
Right.
But what, the conservation easements, do you know how much roughly percentage-wise it is of this area?
It's about roughly half of the
Okay,
southern
so it's-
portion.
The overall thing, I
It's
believe, is
close to
40-something
the
percent.
60.
Okay,
Right.
so I mean, it's not gonna be quite as much as what would be there under the current land use, but it's still a substantial amount of preservation that you're gonna have over the whole site.
Okay,
And then the site to the north, I mean, if we're talking about it as one development site, that site has even more, that has an 80% preservation, so there's gonna be some sort of, I guess, proration of.
restriction, right. So- And my understanding was it was not going to affect that northern part at all at this time.
Yeah, this request.
Right, they're not asking to amend the northern part. All they're asking is to amend the southern 27 acres.
I'm not understanding how they can say that they're going to use the northern and not include it in this. Is that?
That would be more toward the development stage of it. Right now, they're just talking about the southern 27 acres that they're asking that it go from conservation residential to low-density residential. And they want to, which would increase the density on the southern 27 acres. Now, what they want to do down the road with that is part of what we're looking at more clarity on.
And so you will ask for a amended.
We'd like to see graphically what the plan is that this developer
Entails.
agreement combined with the proposed land use change would allow them to do. What are they trying to accomplish with this?
So right now, the motion is to continue it until the next TRC meeting so that they can show us that.
Present that, but that won't include incorporating the northern part, as I'm understanding. It's just.
No.
It will demonstrate what the impact on the northern
Oh,
part that
great.
they're proposing
I
would
see.
be.
Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Do we have any other technical comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go back to the vote. We have a motion to continue to next month and to have a meeting in the interim to further discuss the details of this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion carries. Thank you, and
Thank you.
we can get together
Yeah.
and discuss when we get together. Okay, moving on to item number 2, the Topsail West PED wetland impacts, being reviewed by Tim Brown.
This is a minor development order application submitted by the St. Joe Company requesting approval to clear, grub, and fill the remaining permitted wetland impact areas of the Topsail West PUD on 36.6 acres with a future land use of Town Center 2 and Village mixed use. There's no comments. It's pretty much a done deal. We can, after we move it forward, we can issue the development order.
These are also proposed stormwater, or some of these are proposed stormwater areas? The two in the front of the
Yes.
apartment complex?
Yes. We are actually working with Ken and Harper on a stormwater design, but we're trying to get the impacts taken care of ahead of, we've got to get that done while he's working on the stormwater design. So we'll probably come back in a couple months with the stormwater plan.
Okay. Will you
Try to catch the
stabilizing,
contractor while we're still on
will
site.
we stabilizing these areas in the meantime?
Mhm.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Did we get your name?
April Wilkes with the St. Joe Company.
I thought I did mention, buffers. I didn't.
It's a condition of the approval. So,
Is it? Okay.
yeah, that's all. Conditions of approval is on page 7 of 8.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do we have a motion?
Yes, I move to approve this project and move it forward to the development order stage.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, Post Office Plaza. Project being reviewed by Renee Bradley.
This is a request to relocate the existing 545 square foot post office and to construct a 300 square feet of restrooms on 0.21 acres in a portion of the Seaside Avenue right-of-way. That this is a civic use per the first amended essentially built-out agreement. There's very few comments. Nobody has any comments but planning, and basically our main concern is that we can replat on Seaside 3 to create a parcel for this development.
Yes, Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. I've read the staff report, and the only comment that I had is regarding the replat. Can we make that a condition of the CO of infrastructure? The reason being just the time involved. They'd like to put this in as soon as possible. They can, get it in for, the last part of the season. They'd like to. And if they can, there's some teeth in it if you make it conditional on CO of infrastructure and of the actual improvements.
I think that's something we probably should run by Sydney, the county attorney, just to make sure that she's in agreement with that before we make that decision. So we can move you forward today based on us determining whether that condition needs to be with the DO or at CO.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Right. Then I would just make that a suggestion or request.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
Do we want to see if there's any comments from the public or anything first? You want to go ahead and make the motion?
Do we have any technical comments from the public?
No. I would make a
None.
motion that we move this project forward with the legal determination and whether the replat would have to take place prior to the CO or the development order.
Second.
Motion by Renee, second by Vivian. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion approved. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 4, the Magnolia Cottages by the Sea Phase 2 replat. Being reviewed by Rita.
Yes, this is a plat application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of Creek Park LLC requesting to replat Lot 1, Block D of Magnolia Cottages by the Sea Phase 2 to create new preservation area, actually to get rid of some preservation area. During construction, some of the preservation area was impacted, so we made plans of relocating it to a future common area. This replat basically just showing the new preservation line and the new building setback line, which they also had to adjust for the building that was constructed a little bit different than originally was planned. There are no outstanding comments for this replat. Any questions or comments from anyone?
There's no reduction in the preservation, it's simply just moving that square footage that was
That is
impacted to
correct.
another portion of it.
That is correct.
Okay. Do we have any technical comments from the public? Seeing none. Any further discussion by the committee? Seeing none. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to move this project forward to the Board of County Commissioners meeting, which is June 20th. It's being advertised. That's my motion.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion by Rita, second by Jason. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Let's move forward. Thank you, Daryl. Number 5 is Atchison Warehouses being reviewed by Bob Baranti.
Are you covering those or somebody else?
One of us will be.
I can. Since I look at them all, if you want. This is a major development application submitted by Baker Engineers requesting approval to construct 3 7,500 square foot warehouses on 2.41 acres in a future land use category of industrial. This is out north of 20, just north of 20, past Basin Bayou. Interesting area.
This is one where we're still working on getting the owners association established.
That's correct.
I understand that one has been created, but it's not the one that the dedication on the plat refers to.
My name is Byron Ward, and I was asked to fill in for Michelle Baker, who's had a death in the family this morning.
I'm sorry.
So she had asked me to relay a couple of things to you today. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your time. But she said the new owners association is going through the proper legal process and is almost complete. And we understand that the name of the owners association must be Trout Branch Industrial Park Owners Association Incorporated. So hopefully that answers that question.
Well, it certainly answers as far as the intent, but that's something that has to be completed before we can approve this.
Once the OA is final, the project will be resubmitted so it can move forward to the planning board.
Okay, so what do you want us to do today?
Well, that sounds like maybe they're thinking it's gonna get tabled at TRC until that owners association gets worked out.
It sounds like it has to be.
That's because this is really the first industrial project, I think, in this park. It's.
All right, well, let's just look at what Bob is recommending here on his staff report. That's our answer. He's requesting a motion to conditionally approve the Atchison Major Development once staff's comments are addressed, and that includes the HOA.
There's a code violation.
And that really is that these are issues that don't directly relate to the project
Code violation.
before us, but are more legal issues related to where the project's located in this particular development.
It's related to.
Oh, it's related to the HOA.
I would feel comfortable with Bob's requested action.
And once the HOA issue is resolved, that should take care of the code enforcement.
Yeah, and it can move forward from there.
Clear that up.
Would someone want to make Bob's requested motion?
We not want to hold off advertising to planning commission until we get the.
Yeah, it can't move any farther in the process until these comments are resolved.
To come back to TRC, but it cannot be advertised to
Right.
PC.
Right.
That's kind of a condition till the approval.
Are you making that motion?
I make a motion to conditionally approve the major development order, or move it forward once staff's comments and the code violation has been addressed.
Second.
Motion by Kristen, second by Sam. Do we have any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Well, do we have any public comments on this particular one? There being none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Okay. We're conditionally approved, subject to resolving these comments, and once they're resolved, we can schedule it for planning commission and move it forward in the process. Thank you.
Oh yeah, mobile fixtures.
Okay, moving to item number 6, mobile fixture showroom warehouse. This project is also reviewed by Bob Barante.
Mr. Chairman, this is a major development order application submitted by David Lamar, and it's for requesting approval to construct a 25,088 square foot kitchen showroom warehouse space. It's located on the southeast corner of 331 and Norris Cutoff Road. It's approximately 1.87 acres. And Bob here has a motion to conditionally approve once staff comments are addressed. Let's see if there's any outstanding. Okay, we have a bunch of outstanding. 12 engineering comments outstanding.
Yes, I'm David Lamar. It's nice to meet you all.
Good morning.
I'm a sort of a rookie. The last time I did a project in Walton County, it was the Van R. Butler Schools. 20 years ago.
Welcome back.
That turned out pretty good.
Oh, good. Maybe that's a portend of good things.
It's well attended anyway.
Excuse me?
It's well attended anyway.
Oh, good. But I've talked with Bob. Again, I am a rookie to y'all's process. So I think I've got a lot of the information in my head or on paper that he's asked for and that the engineers have asked for, but not presented in a form that, you know, is readily digested on y'all's side. So I will work to resolve that. I'm happy to go through. I do have a couple of specific questions that we've got. It's sort of a unique situation, at least in my mind. And again, not being familiar with the process. The first, can I go ahead and bring those up?
Sure.
We are discharging to the drainage ditch that is on the east side, northeast side of Norris Cutoff Road. That is a jurisdictional wetland. The Corps has, or the state has exempted us from requirements, but the Corps, we will have to get a Corps permit. My question is, since I'm discharging from a county right-of-way into a jurisdictional system, my wetlands folks want to know who's going to take the permit. Is that the developer is the applicant, or is the county the applicant? Because we're actually going through a county right-of-way, discharging into
I don't think the county would be the applicant.
Okay.
Not our water.
It goes through your right-of-way, though.
But we're not creating the flow.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to have anybody. I'm just looking for the correct answer. Is there a Christine here? Kristen?
I'm Kristen.
Oh, okay. I said you thought you could answer that.
Oh,
that
you did.
That may be somebody from Public Works that needs to
yeah. Do we
be
have
included on that.
Is Public Works here? No. Okay. Why would the DEP?
Maybe my follow-on question related to that is that we are constructing a county road, 280 feet of a county road. Private developers paying for it, but it's built within the county right-of-way. So
The
I didn't see any
Norris
specific-
Cutoff Road. Is that what we're talking about?
I didn't see any specific comments related to that, whether they liked it, didn't like it, whether we met the standards or not.
In the right of way?
I had a couple of comments
About
basically,
the
not,
Norris cutoff.
yes, showing things like existing apron
Oh, yeah.
comments
Well, that,
that
yes.
engineering had, but nothing as far as what you nailed down.
Yeah, they were actually paving
280 feet.
yeah, like I said, so that would be county maintenance responsibility.
Ultimately, and after we build it, we'll
Yeah, I
rent y'all
think,
to pay for the maintenance.
We
Seems to
need
be
to get
reviewed
Public
by
Works
Public
directly.
Works.
I don't think it did.
It needs,
So
needs
should we
to,
send it?
yes.
Yeah, I think the plan is to discharge into the public right of way.
Yeah, we're gonna need them to review that.
Well, the road, the right of way is there, they're just improving that portion of it.
But still, somebody's gotta say it
Yeah, I
meets
would
the
think the public
standards.
works would want.
This is a major development, so it's going to planning commission, but that question needs to be resolved before we can advertise it to planning commission.
Sure.
Is that an issue opinion? Because there could be some technical comments related to that. I don't know.
But y'all have had no interface with Public Works at all yet.
And Bob says I'm only supposed to talk to him, so.
When?
Yeah, we're looking, I mean, in my discussions with him, we'd like to get it approved as soon as we can, but we realize we've got the planning commission and the board of county commissioners. We had hoped that we would, be seeing the planning commission in July, but that's not possible. So we're on a time track right now to try and meet the planning commission in August and get approval by the commission in September.
Well, then
Whatever process we can
why don't we do
to
this?
that.
Why don't we continue this project to the July 7th, July 5th, TRC, that will give us time to meet with Public Works on the off-parcel improvement portion, resolve your
Okay.
questions about permitting, and give you an opportunity to address the comments that are before you today, which would still put you back, once we can get all those comments resolved and move it forward on the 7th, would still put you in line to go to August.
Okay. Could
for
I
planning commission.
try and get some of the questions that I had relative to not
Yeah,
related
sure.
to Norris Cutoff
Yes.
today, and then that'll save me some time
Yes,
as
sir.
well. I do recognize we need a signed engineering geotechnical report. It's a problem site. And so I have that. I did not have it when I submitted it, but we've got that to give to you. The comment about the existing right-in, right-out on 331 that we're not going to use. I've talked with DOT. I have not talked with them about removing it, but what I would like to get an answer from you folks today, if I could, is I don't think there's any objection to removing it on our part. We need to get DOT's permission to do that. But I would also like to defer that removal until, toward the latter parts of construction. Because of the problems with that site, we're gonna have to actually go in there and drain the site before we can even clear it, based on the geotechnical report. So as many available accesses into that, we'd like to keep our options open as to how we even just get in there to build a thing. So,
But the final design would eliminate that 331.
yes, I mean, it'll be on the plans, it just won't take place until, closer to CO after the full access to the site from the Norris Cutoff is.
Well, can you
realized.
approve the plans with it on there? It meets like spacing requirements and.
He's gonna show
No,
it to be
he-
removed, he's just saying he's not gonna
Oh,
remove
oh,
it
he's
until.
gonna
It's just
show
the
it.
scheduling
Okay,
of the
okay,
removal.
sorry.
Right.
I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay.
As long as it's done by the time we're ready do the final PO inspection.
So that's the way I'll answer that. I'll confirm with DOT that they don't have any problem with us removing it, and then just explain that there's timing of that. The other question, I just wanted to confirm that when I saw the question or the comment about the driveway separations, we do show 2 driveway entrances on Norris Cutoff. I'm not sure that is quite per code based on, we had 300 feet of property before 28 feet was dedicated to DOT sometime in the past. But due to the circulation pattern with the semis, it makes more sense to me to allow that second driveway. And there was no comment about it, so I may be raising an issue that's not an issue.
No, we looked at that, and then I also saw the circulation for your delivery trucks, but I just need to see the spacing from 331 to the first driveway, and then from the first driveway to the second driveway, just to.
But you just need the distances?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, you don't see a problem in us being able to do that?
No, we don't allow 2 accesses, but the engineering judgment can trump that if the circulation warrants.
Okay, great.
Well, and the other benefit is to remove that additional driveway cut on US 331, which helps traffic continue to flow on US 331 and reduces the possibility of accidents.
Correct.
Anytime we can remove an access to a major highway. So I would fully support that.
Just a clarification on the transportation comments. I think the trips I generated were based on just a light industrial classification, and what this is, you want me to focus a little bit more on the specific uses within the building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. I think Bob and I worked through the other issues with, so we really just need to deal with the Norris Cutoff and the core permit. There was no comments about the landscape plan. I didn't know if that was good or bad, or who knows.
That's good.
No comments, that means it's.
Who would have commented, which of the department?
Bob would have.
Okay. All right, well, again, I'm a rookie after 20 years of laying off being in Walton County, but so I appreciate the input, and we'll get this in a form where you'll understand what we want to do, and then you'll like what we're doing.
Okay.
So forth.
This is a site that recently went through a small-scale amendment to change to light industrial to allow for this particular development.
Right.
So, we appreciate your candor. We look forward to working with you and to develop a successful project.
So do I need to plan on being back for the July 5th?
Yes, you do.
So we'll
Providing
address
we
these
get a
comments.
motion to continue to July 5th.
Now, will someone from Public Works call me, or how do I make that contact with them?
Stay in touch with Bob, and Bob will facilitate that, because as the project manager, he needs to be involved in those discussions also.
Okay, all right, well,
Yeah, also understand that if we continue it and you go to the July 5th TRC, before you would be able to advertise for the planning commission, all of these comments would need to be addressed. So that's why you get as many of these
Right.
comments addressed now so that they're done for the July 5th. So you
okay,
don't
well,
have a-
I'm hoping that we'll even have Public Works comments addressed sort of before they even make
Right.
that type of thing.
That way you don't get into an advertisement issue.
Right.
So we could get, ideally, we would get y'all's group to forward us with a positive recommendation to the planning commission at the 5th of July meeting. That would be the best of.
That's where we hope to be, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Well,
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, small scale, I'll make a motion to continue the mobile fixture showroom warehouse project to the July 5th meeting on the TRC.
Okay, do we have a comment? I mean, a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jason. Any further comments, technical comments from the public? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? This project is continued to July 5th.
all right,
Thanks,
thank you
sir.
very much.
Thank you.
Next item is Shops at Inlet, item number 7, being reviewed by Rita.
Yes, this is a major development order application submitted by Technical Carroll Engineering on behalf of F&F Enterprises. requesting approval to construct a 13,462 square foot of retail space on a 1.46 acre lot with the future land use of neighborhood infill. This parcel is on the corner of 98 and Walton Lakeshore Drive at Inlet Beach. We have a number of comments, but I believe they are more of clarification in nature. I kind of got confused with what we were looking at yesterday.
I've not seen any of the comments, so I have no idea.
I emailed them.
Didn't get them.
No? I apologize about that.
Hey, Robert, I've got a question. The small parcel,
Yeah.
it would be the eastern parcel, I guess. Wasn't that part of the Soldiers Canteen approval? Wasn't it those two lots, the one that the
He's
spice
talking
noodle
about
sits on
this.
and the little parcel
Well,
to
the
the
east
west?
one, that's not anything to do with this one. We're modifying that Soldier Canteen one.
But
That's
I'm
coming
asking,
next as
that little
modifications.
parcel,
To the
wasn't,
east?
The
was,
parking
yes,
lot,
wasn't
he's
that
talking
part
about
of
this.
the Soldiers Canteen approval?
To the far east, it may have been.
This one would be to the west.
The one that's in the middle.
Yeah, the one that's in the
This-
middle, the
this
little
part.
parcel that's in the middle.
It may have been. But we're coming back to modify that one.
And when you do that, you're gonna do the other lot to the east, right? The
This
fir-
one.
He owns it, but we don't need it. When I bring it into you, it will clarify that
So
part
it'll just
of
be
it.
the spicy noodle parcel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to get that clear in my mind.
Yes, sir.
Again, planning department comments, I believe they mainly some clarification, not really technical questions. We do have a fire department comment that you will need to address. And
Robert, because I did the previous approvals for the spicy noodle parcel, I'm gonna take this project over for Rita.
No problem.
and because it's in corridor, and because it's in Lake Beach, and because.
No problem.
There you go.
I don't see anything major here. We'll
Yeah,
get all
I'm
this
gonna
addressed.
look at the comments, see if he has any questions.
I don't know that you've got a senior quarter review yet, so we'll need to provide that to you.
I've not seen, this is the first I've seen of any of it. We did turn a separate package in for that, though.
I'm just saying, we're gonna have to provide that to you. It
Yes.
wasn't included in today's review.
I got you. Okay. I don't have any issue.
Do you have any particular, yeah, it seems like mainly clarification, which
Okay.
some of them we talked on the phone yesterday and kind of got answered, but, so
No problem.
I don't think there's any really major technical concerns, so,
Okay.
anybody have any questions, comments?
The next step for this particular project is beyond
DOB,
here is
Yes.
DRB and then Planning Commission.
yes.
If the scenic corridor comments haven't been provided yet, is that something that can move forward?
On technical, yes.
Just make additional comments, but, I mean, it still applies that we're not gonna move it to the meeting until
Right.
all the comments have been addressed.
But it's not something that would need to come back
No,
to the
no, it's specific to the scenic corridor.
So is the motive of the committee to move it forward, subject to comments prior to advertising?
Yes, the motion is to, move it forward to, design review board and, planning commission afterwards.
Pending
So-
resolution of the comments.
Yes, subject to all these comments being, met, satisfied.
I'll second.
Motion by Rita, second by Renee. Any further discussion?
Public.
Yes, sir.
My name's Rich Jaffe, and Betty and I are here in the interest of the Historic Beach Neighborhood Association Board. We'd like to know what's going to be done in regards to traffic access and egress on these sites. These are the exact same issues that came up with the Dollar General and caused significant problems. And we'd very much like to know how that's going to be handled, how people are going to come and go from both sides of 98 here. And I'd also like a copy of the documents that you're working off of, if that's possible. Our neighborhood association has a very vested interest in what goes on in that community. And once again, Mr. Carroll has failed to communicate in any form with us about what's going on here. So we'd like to know.
Well, I think they're referring to the, you can't turn left out of North Walton Lakeshore onto Highway 98.
Correct. All traffic is gonna have to flow to the west.
That was the big issue with Dollar General, and I believe that's what they're referring to. What's
So
gonna be the
required-
circulation?
Can you come to the table so
Sure.
we can report the conversation for the, record? And, this is a major development, so the public notification is gonna be for the planning commission and board of county commissioners.
I understand the
Meeting-
protocol. It's a
Yeah.
procedural issue, though.
Yeah, this is
Oh, I'm
only the
fine. I'm
technical.
just looking, and I had talked to Robert yesterday on the
Yeah,
phone.
we don't require notifications for this
Yes,
meeting, that's why probably. you
So
didn't
no
receive-
sign or anything
Yeah,
up on the
that's why you
property,
didn't
yeah.
receive.
Understood. I'm just talking
we just
in
saw
general out
this the
of
other
common
day.
courtesy or respect for the community involved. It would be nice if the developers and builders would reach out and let people know what they are doing in our neighborhoods.
Rita, was there a community meeting prior to the submittal for the infill?
No, we need to schedule that.
Well,
That
that's
should have been done.
prior to the submittal when it's required.
Before this one?
Yeah, infill, you're required to do the community meeting before you submit your application to the county.
This, by the way, is the exact same issue that we are having in regards to the crossings and the expansion there over to Wall Street, which comes up in front of the commission tomorrow evening, as a matter of fact.
And that's my
That's a little
project,
bit
which is
different,
not
however.
required to do the community meeting in which you requested.
Yeah, that's a land use change, so that's a little.
Actually,
different.
that
No,
was
the
required by
crossings.
the commissioners.
Yes, but I'm just saying, it's a different process.
I understand,
because
I
it's a
understand,
land use
but
change.
the principle's the same.
Yeah, the neighborhood infill land use category requires that a community meeting be held before an application is made to the county. So that appears to not have happened. That would have been,
Yeah.
that would have been your first notification if you were within, what,
300
feet of.
Quarter mile radius.
Yeah, you would have been notified at
Yeah,
that
we do
time.
not
So,
have, we do have a compatibility analysis, but
But no community meeting documentation?
no community meeting.
My
Well,
concern is,
And if I could just, and I'll recognize you, in that regard, before we can move this application any further, we've
Right.
got to satisfy that
Absolutely.
requirement.
We'll
So
get that
that,
scheduled today.
we'll look to you to satisfy that requirement and
Yes.
then come back to us after you've had the community meeting.
yeah,
That's right.
that would satisfy me. I'm not objecting to something going there. I'm just concerned of the traffic. It's so bad right there.
Just
The
want
way
to know
that-
about what's coming and have an opportunity to participate.
Okay, that's why I called
Absolutely,
Robert
yes, ma'am.
yesterday. I wanted to know about that.
She had expressed a concern, the people that are on the south side trying to come north, it's got a bi-directional access there, and they're actually illegally crossing it. So when we go to DOT for our decel lane, that's something that I told her we'd be glad to look at with DOT. I don't know if
It's
it can be
really,
expanded the islands,
really
but
bad.
they're
There's an
actually.
opportunity for a fire truck to cross, but only an emergency vehicle there.
No, that's down at
That's
Wall.
further down. That's at
That's
Wall
at Wall.
Street.
This
Okay.
is down
That's
at the east end, and that's where I come and go, and people are, it's terrible. It is bad.
There's a median right there, but it's limited on how you can access it.
Mhm.
I've witnessed people
People going the wrong
go
way
in the
right
wrong
there.
direction to get beyond that
Yes,
median.
they won't
Right
go
now,
all the way
The only way
down.
for people who are headed eastbound to legally get there is to go down to Grant Point, pull a U-turn there, and come back at it, which
But they
is
don't do it.
absurd considering the amount of traffic that's going to be generated and coming and going here. There has to be a safe way for people to cross and get into this development. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. You've already got discussion right now about putting a tunnel underneath 98 at 30A over to the water tower to try and minimize the threat to pedestrian traffic, bike traffic, that sort of thing. That is because the traffic pattern here is so dangerous and is so busy. And if we're going to see even more development, which we expect, quite frankly, there's got to be some attention paid to how people safely and legally get across there in vehicles.
Have you communicated with DOT yet on?
We've not made a formal application, no, sir.
Because that's gonna be
That's
a
gonna be
decision by DOT.
But we would be dealing with the turn lane, not on this, but since she's brought it to our attention, we will go ahead and bring this up to them to talk
Okay.
about that.
This was a big issue with the Dollar General as well, people making that illegal left-hand turn.
It is bad. I see it almost every day when I go out. It's terrible.
Let's see what we
Divider
can
may
do
be
to work with DOT
Absolutely.
to improve this particular segment of US 98.
Yeah, you got people using it as a full access where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, like they say, they don't wanna go down and make that U-turn.
Well, I went down and made that U-turn last week.
We did it this morning, just.
But you thought about crossing.
No.
You're right, I did look at it.
Oh, I have thought that too, but I can't complain if I'm gonna do the wrong thing, so.
And especially coming out of Walton Lakeshore, going through there, I mean, it just begs for more accidents in that very location. And the idea that somehow it is going to mollify the problem by having an exit or entrance on Walton Lakeshore, it doesn't. Because all you're gonna do is pour a lot more traffic into what is really a purely residential street. And there needs to be a better solution, or at least a solution, in regards to how cars are going to come and go into this facility.
I would say seeing Orange Street, which is the next one west, there's not a problem there. If the DOT would totally, and I went when they were making 4 lanes and doing, and they did not, they wanted it that way, so good luck with them. I'd rather it just be totally open, like Orange Street, so you can come and go. And
Well-
then nobody's illegal.
Well, what will be coming is 6-laning all the way to Bay County.
Huh?
That is planned, a 6-lane facility all the way to Bay County, county line to county line. It's under construction from Okaloosa to
So you think they
Hangamar
will be
Drive.
making some changes, hopefully?
This is already in the TPO's plan. They're adding this segment to the SIS network, which opens up another pot of federal money to further support improving this, which is going to accelerate that project. Now, just how quickly that's going to happen is still a question, but the planning has already started for that. And so this will get addressed with that 6-laning, but I don't think the 6-laning is going to come soon enough to address what we're talking about right now. So an interim plan with DOT sounds like where we need to be.
Yeah, and I'm not objecting to your buildings. I mean, I know they'll look great and all that, but we just have to look at this traffic. It's, what we tried to do years ago for it, all of this went through, was straighten out that curve, because it curves there, and it's always been just kind of dangerous and everything. So anyhow, that's what I'm concerned with.
Any other questions or comments?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. And y'all would stick around, I want to talk to y'all
No,
before
okay,
that
we
on
will.
other
Okay,
subjects.
thanks.
Okay, so it looks like we're back to you for community meeting before you
that's
come
good.
back to us. And if you would interface with DOT on that particular intersection as part of that.
Sure.
Um,
We're gonna see if we can make some improvements to make it a little safer.
Okay,
Then I would like to amend my motion to continue this project to the July 5th TRC meeting.
And I'll second.
The only comment would be, do we want to continue it without a date? Just depending on when that community meeting can be advertised and set up?
If we get it out today, it'll be within 10 days.
If he doesn't have the community meeting, we're gonna continue it again, so.
Right, I was just trying to avoid
Can
having
we
to bring it back.
Can we not get scheduled for the DRB? If we schedule the meeting now, we'll have proof of it that we had the meeting prior to attending the DRB, and you can pull us from DRB if we don't.
Well, we're not gonna advertise the DRB until all the issues have been resolved.
Okay.
So this is one of the issues, but I mean, until all of those comments are resolved, we're not gonna move forward to the DRB, and it's with any project.
But you're still getting it reviewed in the meantime, because if you've submitted it, it's getting reviewed, so.
Okay. When can we anticipate getting the DRB review comments?
I'm not sure, maybe later this week,
Okay.
but.
And when is
maybe not.
DRB?
The next one's in July, July
Sixth.
Yeah, July 6th.
It would be the
But I
day
think,
after.
but I think the ad goes out next week, is that right? So-
We
I
don't
I
have
don't think
color
we can advertise
renderings
the
and
DRB.
any.
So we're-
We turned all that in.
Okay.
That was a separate package that we submitted with it.
Okay, I just don't have it in the folder.
Well,
then.
since the ad goes out next week, there's no way we can make the
It would
July
have to
meeting.
be.
Because you're gonna have to do a resubmittal on the comments you've got in addition to, I mean, the community meeting, you just have to provide us the documentation. that You've had the community.
Exactly.
So that's not a big issue. It's gotta be done, but that's not a big issue. But since the ad goes out next week, I don't think there's any way we can make that meeting.
I mean, while the community meeting requirement may not be a big issue, there may be something that comes from that meeting that changes your plan.
Okay.
I think that's the intent of the community meeting.
Okay.
And so my concern is that there may be a change to the current design that would require a technical review again. And that's why I don't know if I would want to move it forward to DRB until that's been resolved and we've had.
Well, we're gonna get the DRB comments anyway, so we didn't have those yet, so,
Yes.
okay.
But you can resubmit in the interim, even though we're continuing this to the next
Okay.
TRC meeting, so we can still probably make the August meeting, but I don't see how we can make the July meeting.
Okay.
So there's
So
my
the motion is to
Motion
continue
is
to
to
July?
continue this project to the July 5th TRC meetings, subject to all comments and conditions being met.
In the community meeting.
Well, actually,
And the biggest condition is the community meeting to be conducted and all the proper documentations to be turned in.
well, actually, I think just continuing it to the next meeting in terms of a motion, isn't that satisfactory?
I don't, because that's not in the comments, the community meeting isn't. So
I
I
don't
think
know.
it needs to be part of the
Okay.
motion. And I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? This project is continued to July 5th. Thank you, Robert. Next item is item number 8, Sand Dollar Court subdivision. This is a major development being reviewed by Rita.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is a major development order application submitted by Dewberry Pebble-Ish on behalf of Brian Duke, requesting approval to develop a 4-lot subdivision on a .69 acre, each lot consisting of acre with the future land use of neighborhood infill. The project is located north of St. Dollar Court, approximately 450 feet east of Somerset Ridge Road. We have a lot of comments, planning and engineering. Did you have a chance to?
I've reviewed them all and like to go through them briefly if we could.
Yes, because I'm not certain if they are just clarification in nature or more technical, and that might.
Yeah, it's mostly clarification.
Okay.
If we could go through them,
Yes.
I can discuss them pretty quickly.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it can be resolved very easy.
Okay.
So for the record, I'm Cliff Nauer, KNAUER, Dewberry Engineers. This is Brian Duke, he's the owner. So we had our community meeting that we advertised for, and we had the adjacent homeowners association president was there, as well as a number of their adjacent landowners. Discussions with Brian and Bobby, who own the property, was that they initially wanted to be in the HOA with the adjacent neighborhood, which makes sense because these lots are basically a mirror image of all the other lots that are in the subdivision. And so we had a lot of discussion about what it would take for them to get into the HOA. And the biggest concern, I guess, that they had with the adjacent HOA was the height restriction of 38 feet, which is what their covenants and restrictions requires, a maximum of 38 feet. Brian and Bobby, the developers, have agreed to the 38-foot maximum building height. The other two items that kind of go along with their covenants and restrictions is right now they don't allow for garages to be up front on their on the adjacent HOA. They're moving. They actually are moving or proposing a change to their own covenants and restrictions to allow garages up front. And so that's one of the things that they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to have garages up front. And then the only other item was they wanted to be able to have, you know, a mother-in-law suite up to 800 square feet on their lots, which the adjacent HOA does not allow. And so height restriction is good. That's not a problem. The garages up front is different from the adjacent HOA, but they're having a proposal in now to change that. And then the mother-in-law suites. And so that was the two differences. We can have our own HOA. We don't have to be part of their HOA. We can have our own HOA, but their desire is to be part of that HOA so that they'll pay a monthly fee and have access to the pool. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that the community meeting went well, and the biggest concerns that they had, we've addressed, and the developer's in agreement with.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so if we could maybe just go through them, I'll point out some of the answers to some of these issues. Item one is just, I guess, a couple pages we're missing out of the original pre-app notes. We'll get those to you. A larger site plan showing the site connecting into the existing residential subdivision, its infrastructure and utility. And so these four lots are basically the beginning of the whole rest of the subdivision. So one thing that has been confused a little bit is their property actually goes all the way out into the road. And years ago, when that subdivision was developed, they provided an easement for drainage and for access to build the whole rest of the subdivision. So they actually own all the property in the curve, but they've given an easement, former landowners have given an easement to the adjacent subdivision to use the road and to have drainage easement as well.
Well, on this one, what I was looking for is just a clear how we're going to be connecting back to, you know, public roads and
okay.
just a little bit larger, even if it's just the existing.
Yeah, we can give you an aerial that would show. In fact, your aerial show pretty good what's going on with it.
Utilities and just
Yep.
like a larger site plan or something.
Okay. We'll put it together. We'll put our site plan on an aerial so that you'll be able to see it clear.
Yeah, just something like that, that
Okay.
would be great.
And then the utilities are already sitting there ready to go. They had to run utilities, water and sewer runs, right past our site to service the whole rest of the subdivision. So we'll be able to, they actually already have stubs in the utilities for our parcel. Provide agreement documentation allowing the project developer to demolish, modify existing and/or construct infrastructure and utilities within the subdivision. Like I said, the utilities are out front. All we have to do is tie into the utilities that are basically in the right-of-way now.
Right, you also show some of the road to be cut and
We do.
some storm pipes to be demolished and
We do.
do some work within the private right of way. So we'll need from the existing HOA some sort of documentation that they allow you to
Right,
do
but that was kind of my point, was these guys actually own all the property that we're proposing the improvements in. I mean, we can coordinate it with the adjacent HOA, but they're the owner of the property. They've just given the adjacent HOA an easement.
Which is an unusual circumstance.
It is.
Unique to this particular site.
Right,
But the HOA has a legal right to that easement.
and the
So-
stormwater system serves the existing subdivision.
It does.
So, I mean, if you start modifying the stormwater system.
Right. We're basically, what's happening right now is the road's failing over the pipe that's there right now. We were proposing to fix it for them, which was one of the discussions that we had at the community meeting, was that's a problem now. I mean, we could probably leave it like it is, but we were going to fix it for them and tie all our stuff into it and put new pipe, new head wall, new everything, and it's on their property. So it kind of made sense to fix, and I think that's one of the things we agreed to at the community meeting.
Maybe what we need is a letter from the HOA that just
Okay.
acknowledges all of these things that you're describing.
Okay.
Rather than a formal agreement, since it looks like the agreement's already in place in the other direction.
Right.
Serving the HOA.
Right. Yeah, there's a section of curb, it's ribbon curb. The curb has sunk where the pipe crosses and the ribbon curb needs to be replaced. They're gonna replace the ribbon curb, replace the pipe, and put a new head wall in. So we'll get some sort of documentation from them. That shouldn't be a problem at all.
That way the file can speak for itself.
Okay.
Once we're done.
Yes.
All right, and then agreement allowing the new subdivision to connect into the existing subdivision stormwater and utility system. The utility system is not for the adjacent subdivision. It comes straight through their property to service the adjacent subdivision. So we don't need an agreement with the HOA for utilities. That'll just be regional utilities.
I think the letter that we were just describing
Okay.
could probably incorporate
Okay.
the response to that comment also.
All right. Who and how the stormwater management facility will be maintained? It'll be maintained by either by their HOA if we end up with a separate HOA, or by the overall HOA if it's done by the overall HOA.
Right.
So if they join the HOA, they're going to have to be part of maintaining the pond across the street, which they don't have anything to do with, and then they would have to be responsible for maintaining what's out in front of these lots also. And so we'll address that in the agreement as well.
Tell us how it's going to work.
Yes.
Based on the site data table, the units will be limited to have a max of 3 bedrooms. Parking in each unit provides only 2. What we're proposing is to have a garage downstairs, and so we would actually be able to park 2 cars up front and have a garage. So it'd actually be 3 cars that we could fit on each unit. And so I don't know how you guys want to address
Just add
that.
a comment that the parking is a minimum of 2 spaces. That'll be the minimum that's provided, but as long as you can fit more. I mean, I think that's what we've done on other projects.
Yeah, we have the parking requirement, if you provide only 2 spaces per lot, then you cannot have more than
3
3
bedrooms.
bedroom.
Right.
If you provide 4, you can have 5 bedroom.
Right.
So we'll have to make a note or limitation on the site plan that,
They would like to be able to have up to 4 bedroom, is what they would like to have. So would that be 2 out front and 1 in the garage? or would that have to be 4 in the driveway?
Yeah, that would be two in the driveway and one in the garage.
Would be up to 4 bedroom.
Would take care of it.
They would
So-
like to go up to 4 bedroom.
Yeah, they would, yeah, I mean, but I think according to the plan, it only shows 2 spaces, is
Yeah,
that?
and in the data table,
Yeah,
it
it
shows
does.
that
Right.
2 parking
Okay.
spaces per lot, so.
So that's why I think if you put in a minimum of 2 spaces is gonna be provided on each lot.
Hmm.
And then at the time that the building permit is applied for, if they can show that they have enough spaces to
For that number
allow
of
for more
bedrooms.
bedrooms, then that's something that we.
Well,
can review.
minimum of 2 space would only give them
3.
3 bedrooms.
Right,
So it would need to show.
but it's a minimum.
Minimum?
Yeah, at no point will there be fewer than 2 parking spaces, but if they can't add a
No, but
third
if he
space.
wants 4 bedrooms, then he needs to provide minimum of 3 parking spaces.
Then just state,
But it's,
do the code, reference the code on the
Yeah.
plans that they gotta meet the 5.02.
Yeah,
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, that'll
I'll make
clarify
it
that.
easier.
Okay.
which is, I'm referencing it here, but, you know, it needs to correlate that if we have certain amount of parking, that it, you know, it's just kind of
Okay.
goes back and forth that.
All right, and then on the compatibility analysis, units should be 2 stories high. The site data tables show that they're proposed to be 4 stories. They're not proposing 4 stories, they're proposing up to 3 stories, 38-foot maximum height, which is what's allowed adjacent in the adjacent subdivision.
In the site data table, it shows a
Yeah.
proposed 4 stories.
Yes, ma'am.
So-
We'll change that.
Okay.
We'll change that to a maximum of 3 with max height of 38 feet, so it matches all their stuff next door. The exfiltration system appears to be in vertical conflict based on the details provided. I'm not sure exactly what vertical conflict you were talking about, but maybe referring to the landscape buffer.
The driveways,
Mhm.
I mean, they are like 1 foot, 1.5 foot deep with all the base and everything, and the exfiltration system is like only like 1 foot below surface.
Right.
So it seems like
Yeah,
your
we-
driveway and your exfiltration system would be in vertical conflict, like, I don't know how you would.
Right. We've got like a 6-inch dip in the drives, and we've got inlets adjacent in between the drives. And so we can maybe provide you some more detail to show exactly how it ties
So you
in.
would actually break the exfiltration system where you have your driveway, like.
No. The
exfiltration pipe?
driveway would go over the exfiltration system, but we've got inlets in between the driveways. And so it's, I can give you another detail to show
How
you
much
that.
space will there be between the top of the exfiltration system and the bottom of the concrete driveway?
Well, we've got,
I think that's
That's what I'm
Yeah, so we-
referring to, that based on the details, it just seems like,
right, we've got 6 inches of rock over the pipe and then a foot of cover over that, so it's really 1.5 feet.
And then you would have the driveway on top of that.
Driveway's on top of that. Yep.
yeah, we might need to see a detail, like the two
Yep.
of them put together, because that, when I was looking at the exfiltration system section and the driveway section, it just seemed like they would not
Yep.
fit together on top of each other, so,
I'll be happy to give you more
Profiles on
detail on that.
okay.
No problem. And then landscape buffer out front. I know that by the infill designation in the land development code requires a 10-foot landscape buffer out front. We can fit the shrubs without a problem. Any kind of canopies would have to be basically along the edge of the 10-foot buffer. And your comment was that you can't plant trees if there's exfiltration there. Well, we actually have about 3 feet that we would have to be able to plant any canopy trees. And so the adjacent neighborhood doesn't have any landscape buffer in the front anywhere. And so it's going to look kind of silly, but we're okay with it if that's what you're going to require.
We do have a front landscape buffer requirement. We need to provide trees, 1 per every 25 feet.
Yep.
And I don't think you can put that on top of an exfiltration system. I mean, that's gonna be,
Why? Why would you say?
because the root's gonna go into your exfiltration system. It's gonna just kind of destroy it?
I don't think so. The whole exfiltration system's covered with filter fabric. There's filter fabric that wraps the entire system. There's not really any way that could, I don't think. And so it's a minimum number of shrubs and a minimum number of trees. I believe we could fit it. If I gave you a detail that showed how I was going to plant those, would that help?
How far does the exfiltration system go into the 10-foot landscape buffer?
It's right now it's in the landscape buffer.
I mean, doesn't that require, isn't that limited to only 40%?
With the director's
Not if it's underground?
Yeah,
It's a common area is what we haven't shown on our plan sets.
retention, detention facilities.
Well, I mean, it goes to the concern that Rita's raising about
The
the
40%.
vegetation interfering with that,
Yeah,
the
I
life.
looked-
the
I looked
lifespan
at
of
it,
that system.
Jason, it's retention, detention facilities,
Okay.
the 40%. I
But
was
isn't-
hoping I was gonna use that.
Isn't the exfiltration system a retention facility?
I mean, exfil is retention, detention. I mean, it is the stormwater for the lots, correct?
I mean, I would think that section would still apply, but you'd be limited to, that can only encroach a maximum of 40% with a director's determination allowance.
Okay. So if, for example, we made a larger landscape buffer out front, in other words,
Give yourself.
made a wider landscape buffer out front to give us more room for the plants, more room to cover the 40% and all that, that would probably work.
And you need to do the letter for the director to sign off on for the stormwater.
Yeah, for that 40% encroachment, we've got a formal process.
Our lots are super deep. Our lots are, I mean,
Yeah,
we got tons of room.
Sounds like a solution.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
providing it doesn't encroach more than 40%,
right,
we'll sign that letter, so.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, the other option is I've actually got enough room to, take the stormwater completely out of the landscape buffer, probably. I mean, my lots are almost 200 feet.
Well, I think that would resolve Rita's concerns about the vegetation
Yes,
potentially
that would be
creating an
absolutely
issue.
best if it would have
Okay.
a
Maintenance-wise.
10-foot landscape buffer, and we would have a stormwater
Right.
area that's in a common
Right.
area, and they would be
Right.
two separate.
Well, I got a 25-foot front setback anyways, so I don't think it's going to matter.
I think it would look better.
That would be the best, that would be the best,
Okay.
yes, that would be absolutely.
Yep. I mean, it's not going to be a problem for us with a 25-foot front setback anyways. So, I mean, I've got plenty of room. It's not.
Good idea.
Okay.
Yes,
And then provide,
the front landscaping.
yeah, okay, so perimeter landscaping was referring to the front or all the way around?
No, you did the
Yeah, we showed all.
landscaping around, just the front
Okay.
landscaping.
All right.
The one tree per 25 foot
Yep.
and some
Okay.
ground cover, that's, were not shown.
Okay, I think that'll be an easy fix. We'll just show separate stormwater from the landscape buffer and then keep it completely separate. It won't impact our project at all.
Good.
So,
That's-
great.
That's great.
Can I ask one question? Would we be allowed to have our stormwater closest to the right of way and then the landscape buffer beyond that, or would the landscape buffer have to be on the right of way?
It's supposed to be at the perimeter of the site.
So it's supposed to be closest to. Okay.
Yeah, can't be on the right of way,
Right, I
but
know.
adjacent.
Right. Okay, I was just asking because I can do it either way.
But the stormwater needs to be in common area.
Yes. Yep. All right, and then I guess environmental. We didn't turn in an assessment, but there's no wetlands, and we agree with your determination on that. And so we'll give you confirmation that we agree with your assessment.
Okay. Engineering, I didn't have chance to go through in much detail. Got that in the very last second.
Are these your engineering comments?
No.
No, they
Public
have
Works.
from
They came.
Public Works because it's-
Anna and Chance.
that's right.
Yeah, Anna and Chance reviewed it. I haven't had a chance to talk to them about it because we kind of just got these.
Yes.
But I
yes,
think
they-
most of these are clarification issues. I don't think it's design issues. I think most of it's clarification issues. And a lot of their comments relate to the landscape buffer also.
Mhm.
And so by taking the landscape buffer completely out, I think it's going to eliminate a lot of their comments. Because they had some of the same issues that we just discussed. And so while it looks like 10 comments is a lot of comments, they're on very small issues. And then the Sammy Sanchez is here. Sammy, I know you're probably familiar with Somerset Bridge Road, where we intersect with Somerset Bridge Road at the end of the road. Apparently that HOA has an agreement with you guys about those vinyl fences just being temporary in nature. You're allowed to mow them down, or you got a key or something.
Yeah, we can talk offline. I'm not crazy about fences.
Well, it's already there. I mean, it's nothing that we're doing. We're not changing anything on the roadway. You would just be coming around the curve in your fire truck to get to us.
Okay.
The end of the road, the existing HOA has set up something that they have an agreement with you guys on, because it used to be a through street to Somerset Bridge. And a number of years ago, they put up like a vinyl fence of some sort that, from what I understand from them, you guys are allowed to blow right through.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these places have agreements that I'm not even aware of.
Okay. So it is a through street all the way. It's a loop all the way. But the traffic that comes out at Tom Thumb was all cutting through there at some time, apparently. So I'm not sure how we could control any of that. It's 500 feet away from our site, and it's an existing subdivision. So I'm not sure what type of control I would have over that.
Tell me where that is.
Yeah, so here's our subdivision right here on the curve. That's right here. This is the Tom Thumb. This is the road that goes to the Tom Thumb. The vinyl fence they put up is right there. So it's a dead end street right now.
Just wasn't sure where that was.
Yeah, it's 500 feet down the road. So, I mean, I'll be happy to get with Sammy and the department and do whatever we can, but we don't really have any control over the roadway.
Is the road a dead end road?
Right now it is.
Where? I thought Sand Dollar connected from 30A. It goes up into your curve and then it doesn't connect to.
No, they've got a vinyl fence up.
Oh, there's a fence there at that
Construction,
intersection.
yeah.
Yep.
I got you.
It's just a couple pieces of vinyl, just enough to detour people from coming through, and it's not even really a true fence.
It's not anchored down at all.
It's not anchored down. It's designed if these gentlemen need to get through there, that they can. They mentioned beer trucks. They kept mentioning pulling through their Tom Thumb. Right now in our lots is trash trucks come and turn around because of they.
Yeah, the reality is they probably put it up and just saying, we haven't.
Okay.
Rob, top of my head, didn't ring a bell.
And we're okay with removing
knows
it.
about it.
If it needs to be removed, we don't have any issue with it at all.
That's a private road, Sand Dollar?
It is. It's a private road, but when you get to the curve where our project is, their property contains all of the roadway in the curve.
Right.
And so they gave an easement previously for them to have access.
No, that's what I was thinking.
So, I mean, I understand your point, Rita, that there's a lot of comments. I think we could address them fairly quick. I don't think any of them are big issues. If, for example, Sammy says, hey, there's no agreement that has to come down, we're good with it. We don't have any problem at all. Our neighbors may not be happy, but we don't have any issues at all.
Do you think you're gonna be able to resubmit by the 20th?
June? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because I think most of them clarifications, I'm good with moving it forward, but only if you can submit it by the 20th, so we have enough time to do a detailed review.
Okay.
And really have a good report before we move it to Planning Commission, and that's the deadline for me to be able to have a good review and have a good report, and if we have any issue, to be able to put in a continuing notice for the Planning Commission.
Okay.
If at that point we see that we do have technical problems still.
Yep. You can, you can make it contingent on us providing you that information by that date. That would be fine. I think we can have everything to you next week.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna do, that, if we move it forward to the planning commission, that's,
Yeah.
my
That's when we
suggestion,
need to
that
get it.
Yep,
by
no
the
problem.
20th, I have to have everything, so all the departments will have enough time to do a detailed review, so make sure that we do not have any additional or outstanding technical questions, before we bring it to planning commission.
Okay.
Because-
But even if there are outstanding comments at that point, it's not gonna go to planning commission. until
That's
those
what I'm
get
saying,
resolved.
that then it will give us enough time to do all the review, and if we do find that we have technical comments, then we have to do the continuing memo for the planning commission.
But it won't be advertised until all those.
It
comments-
will, yeah, it will, at that time it will be advertised. Because the planning commission advertisement goes out.
I thought we weren't able to advertise projects until all the comments have been resolved.
Well,
Are we not?
we'll look at that. I mean, if we get it by 6:20, that should
Okay.
give us some time to figure out if there's gonna be anything that's gonna hold up the advertising. And if there is, then we won't advertise.
No problem.
If
Yeah,
it looks like they're all gonna be satisfied, then we can move forward.
I think I looked at the advertisement needs to go out soon after that, because the advertisement goes out like almost like 2-3 weeks
Yeah,
before
it's
the
3 weeks.
actual meeting, but,
I think we can have it to you before the 20th. We can have it to you next week for sure.
Fish.
Sooner the better.
Sounds like the earliest you get it, the better.
Yep.
This is kind of a standard motion, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's definitely.
Was that a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
But, did you get that? Okay.
She cannot hear us.
Yes, I make the motion to, move the project forward to the, July 13th Planning Commission, subject to all comments and condition being met, and that the project is being resubmitted by June 20th.
And I seconded.
Had a motion by Rita and a second by Sam. Do we have any technical comments from the public? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed likewise? We'll move forward subject to comments.
Thank you guys very much. We'll do our homework, and we should be able to have it all to you next week. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 9, Blue Mountain Beach break, being reviewed by Rita.
Yes, this is a minor development order application submitted by Adrian Lavelle, behalf of Bar B LLC, requesting to construct a 2,014 square feet of restaurant and beach supply retail store on a .35 acre with a future land use of village mixed use. This project is located on the southwest corner of 38 and County Road 83 in Blue Mountain Beach. I believe the applicant is not here today. We had correspondence. There are some significant outstanding comments, one of which is they have proposed the stormwater facility underneath the building, which is not allowed based on the land development code. And we have question about the provided parking spaces, so they will have to redesign this site and come back for review, and they are aware of that. So this project will have to come back for review. That's the short version of this project.
So we gotta continue on to the next one?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, I make the motion to continue this project to the next TRC meeting to allow sufficient time to address the listed comments.
Motion by Rita, second by Jason. Any technical comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion carried, and this one's continued to next month. That brings us to item number 10, Kayla's Cove replat.
All right, yeah, this is a request approved by Final Mylar, a resubmittal submitted by Fox Investment LLC on behalf of Willis A. Kennedy. This is requesting to replat lots 8, 9, and 11 of Block 18 and remnants of lots 7 and 12 of Block 18 of Gulf Shore Manor subdivision to 4 lots on 1.17 acres of the future land use of residential preservation. The project is located at the intersection of 30A, from the intersection of 30A and 395, going east approximately 0.7 miles on the south side of 30A.
And as I understand this one, this is not creating new lots. This is a reconfiguration of existing lots of record.
Correct. There are a total of 5 lots of record that are currently within the subject area. The lot line adjustments are resulting in 4 lots. So technically there's a reduction of one lot, but it does not create density. There are some comments. I don't think anything is too, the biggest concern is about a portion of what's called on the Gulf Shore Manor plat, the original. There's 2 areas. One of them is titled Gulf Shore Beach, and the other is Bathing Beach, that the project site is encroaching into. The biggest issue is to provide proof of ownership of those areas. It wasn't, the current legal description of the deed does not include those portions.
Right.
So that's
we have the deeds. I can get
yeah.
that.
So that's the biggest issue. There's a comment about setbacks on lot 1. I think it's just shifting those around.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't think that's
not an
a
issue.
deal breaker or anything. And then a comment about what would be the rear building setback of the new lots 3 and 4. Is just to properly label them as the coastal protection zone.
Okay.
And then we're asking for a comment to be added to the plat that be determined at the time that a building permit is applied for those lots, rather than determining them now.
Not a
since
problem.
those have the potential to change.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
If you can give your name, just
Sorry, Mike Senior.
Any questions on comments?
No. We should be able to get these to you hopefully this week. Be
Okay.
fine.
Do we have any technical questions from our audience today? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the project pending resolution of the outstanding comments and move forward to the Board of County Commissioners once those comments are addressed.
I'll second.
Motion by Jason, second by Tim. Any further discussion?
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah. Can we get on the BCC for this month?
If you can, yeah, if you resubmit in time.
When do you need them by?
I don't know what the deadline is.
BCC, 20th was the last meeting.
Yeah, I don't think you can get on
These
that.
meetings got moved up this month. There's no meeting on the normal 4th Thursday.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
4th Tuesday. It got moved up to the 3rd Tuesday because
Yeah.
all the
So it wouldn't be
commissioners will
this
out of
month,
town.
it would be.
Really?
It would be July's. The first meeting in July would be the earliest,
Do you know
Which
when that is?
July,
the second Tuesday.
yeah, 11th.
July 11th. Okay.
And then advertising wise, when does that?
The 20th, right?
22nd.
Yeah, 22nd is the advertising deadline.
So for this, what you would need to do is resubmit, right, is you resubmit the plans to address the comments. Once those are, we've corrected all that, then you've got to get us the signed Mylar in before that deadline.
Okay.
We can't advertise until we have the signed Mylar, so that would be the, when you address the comments, get that to me as quick as you can, so then that gives you time to get the Mylar signed by all the parties.
Okay, very good. So if there's any issue, I mean, I can get with you on everything.
Yeah.
That sounds great. All right.
And let's make sure we manage the Mylar signing process since we're not sending that stuff, to county surveyor, we're sending it to Dewberry.
Oh, okay.
And we will send that over to them from our office.
Okay.
As opposed to you having to go directly to them.
All right, so when you.
Temporarily we're without a county surveyor, and so Public Works has contracted for those services with Dewberry Preble Ridge, which is under a continuing engineering services contract. So the actual surveyor review for the county is being done by a consultant.
Okay.
And normally it would be done by our Public Works surveyor.
Okay.
So that portion will be accomplished through our office.
Okay, so once he obtains all the other signatures other than the surveyor
Yeah.
and the county ones, then submit it in, and we'll get the surveyor signature along with.
Okay, so only the survey, everyone else I need to get, the survey and the BCC you guys get?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the applicant's actually taking it out to Public Works to get Greg Graham's signature, and then it's coming back. We're not doing that anymore?
We're not doing that anymore. We're gonna be sending it to Greg.
All right, cool.
Okay, so.
I like that.
Okay.
All right.
I'll get with you and let you know exactly what signatures you need to have on there before you.
That sounds great. All right, man, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Did we vote on this one yet?
We have a motion.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
I didn't think we did.
I interrupted.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion carries.
Thank you.
This is Bob's.
Okay, that moves us to item number 11, Old Florida Village Phase 2 PUD amendment. This one was reviewed by Bob also. And this one, as I recall, is a reduction of previously approved entitlements on a phase that already has its infrastructure built.
Correct. Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. I received the staff report last night. There are a couple of planning comments that we need to address. They appear to be minor in nature, primarily geared towards notes on the survey. I don't see any problem in getting those addressed in short order. Especially since they're surveying. I can turn the key on my brother.
Sometimes you just gotta go.
I guess we'll wait on that for.
What's Bob's written?
Recommendation, his standard stuff.
One staff comment service.
Yeah, I was looking at the comments,
Yeah, no floodplain. He's back.
I just stated that the comments are, all we have is planning comments. They're minor in nature, and I think we can turn them around quickly.
Okay.
Hopefully quick enough to get on the next planning commission meeting is the objective.
Okay.
That ad will go out in 2 weeks.
That should give us plenty of time for the July meeting, is that right? Okay.
Make a motion if you want.
Okay.
Make a motion to move this forward once all comments have been resolved.
Second.
Have a motion by Renee, a second by Jason. Do we have any technical comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion is approved.
wow.
Yeah, that was the end of our list, so we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Motion was Jason, second by Tim, or vice versa. Oh, Aaron.
Motion by Jason, 10 by 7.